The World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
Hello again, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. My name is Jay, and we are continuing on our card subject to change series. This week, we are doing a watch-along of the Monday Night Raw from February 3rd, 1997. I was there. I was 12. It was a great show live from the SkyDome in Toronto, Canada. And I am joined this week by Matty Daddy. Matty, how you doing, man?
Oh, dude, pumped to be here. Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast taking over. There's only one Matty Daddy, and I'm ready to do it, baby.
Matty, for our listening audience that's unfamiliar with your work, if you've been living under a rock in podcast land, both football and in wrestling terminology, why don't you tell us right now what you're all about, what you're doing, what you're dropping, what your main squeeze is, just like Luna Fashawn.
It's definitely not Bam Bam Bigelow, but it is fantasy football. It is wrestling, all the yum-yums, the gaga of sports entertainment. So Matty Daddy presents, hell, damn near, just type in Matty Daddy on Google. You'll find my work. We do wrestling podcasts, old school rewinds. I'm doing that, Road WrestleMania, a little bit of SummerSlam. And then I'm also your fantasy football hype machine. Year-round dynasty content on YouTube. I'm here for it, baby. Jay, I am pumped to talk Raw.
Oh, so am I, man. I am so pumped. I'm so glad you're here. Spoiler alert for you folks. Those of you that know that we have Nick from the Universal Wrestling Podcast on from time to time as a guest, Matty Daddy and I actually met on that podcast. We hit it off so well, we figured, what the heck, let's have you on. And we're about to get into a dandy here. We like to call them humdingers on the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. I am psyched to step it back in to the year 1997, February 3rd. I was there, as alluded to, at the top of the program. I was there, a young 12-year-old Jay. He was buying the merch. He was eating the hot dogs. He was drinking the sodas. And he was watching Stone Cold Steve Austin whip some ass. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight.
That's the bottom line.
So for those of you, ladies and gentlemen, that are watching around the world, we are going to log into the WWE Network. You're going to choose the February 3rd edition of Monday Night Raw from 1997. It's going to be a photo of the British Bulldog and Owen Hart talking in the backstage area. That is the photo associated with this particular event. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to log in there. Matty, are you on Peacock down there?
I am in Pensacola, Florida, the bad streets. I've got it tuned up. It says an hour and 33 minutes on the Peacock account.
And you're on Peacock. So what season is it on Peacock? Is it season 3 or 4?
We are 5, episode 5.
Is it season 5?
Season 5, episode 5, February 3rd, 1997, Monday Night Raw.
That is awesome. So for those of you that are scrambling to find this, just pause it, go ahead and find it. And then we're going to start this bad boy. Matt, are you ready to get into this or what?
Oh, yeah. Let's get it, baby. I'm pumped.
We are going to hit play in 3, 2, 1. Oh, man. That old WWF intro with the clouds and the thunder, that is awesome. The lightning.
Love it. I just love that logo.
Oh, me too. It's probably my favorite WWF logo ever, the New Generation logo.
There we are. Look how amped the crowd is.
Oh, yeah, I was right there with them. I remember this day. We took the train in. We were going through the snow, walking down the snowbanks, coming into the SkyDome, and it was, there's a shot of the Alamo Dome. This, folks, remember, this particular edition of Raw is about 2 weeks removed from the actual Royal Rumble. Now, quick spoiler alert for you. I was there live for this event on January 31st, 1997, which is a Friday, and I had no idea that this was going to be a Monday Night Raw. And then tune into Raw Monday night, and all the stuff I saw on Fridays on TV. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen for 12-year-old Jay.
Dude, I love it. 97, this was, right kind of, we're seeing Shawn Michaels championship run, and then we're seeing all these different superstars. Like, they're showing review of the Royal Rumble right now. Cold, you got Fake Diesel, some different characters that kind of remind us of our childhood.
100%. We're having a great time here. You can see Stone Cold Steve Austin threw Bret Hart out. He's kind of screwed Bret Hart over, put the screws to him. He's leaving victorious. Bret Hart's furious. And this, of course, had just happened at the Royal Rumble as the aforementioned event happened not too long in the distant past. And, we have some really, really great matches on tap tonight, too. Maddie, what are your memories of 97 WWF, specifically right here around the Royal Rumble time? I mean, it's one of my favorite years in wrestling. How about you?
Yeah, it's right there. It's like the transition, because if you're over on WCW, the NWO's, white hot right now. So we're seeing Bret Hart, kind of turn into this heel, still beloved in Canada. But I guess this is the early stages of the Hart Foundation. Is that correct? Not yet? Or where are we at with the Hart Foundation? Is that yet to happen?
So we're not there yet. The Hart Foundation would be reformed shortly after WrestleMania 13. Oh, as we see the old school Monday night intro. I loved it. That old Raw theme. Always a fun video package.
And being from Canada, you guys are just ultimate Bret Hart fans, right?
Well, some of us. Tyrone, who is my better half here on the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast, my partner and co-host, he is not the biggest fan of Bret Hart. So I've tried to convert him over the years, but unfortunately, no mas. But to answer your question about the Hart Foundation, yeah, we're planting seeds here with Bret's heel turn. He hasn't quite turned heel yet. Of course, he's going to at WrestleMania 13 with that double turn. We're starting to plant seeds here, but of course, on this particular show, he was over like Rover, right?
Oh yeah.
So we have the opening. Right now? Are you seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin make his way down to the ring?
I am. We just saw Vader hit the ring, and he's with Paul Bearer, which is a little weird. I don't remember a ton of them being a team. I remember the Camp Cornette days, things like that. So this is a pretty recent, because he was with Cornette at SummerSlam.
Yes, he was. He had joined Paul Bearer at the Royal Rumble 97. So Vader was in the midst of a feud with The Undertaker at this time, and Paul Bearer had sort of stepped in on Jim Cornette's territory, much like Clarence Mason did with the Bulldog and Owen earlier in the fall of 1996.
Gotcha.
So we're at a point right now where Vader is kind of aligned himself with Paul Bearer going into 1997.
When we're supposed to see Vader versus Stone Cold right here, but we have Bret Hart kind of, interrupting here, going at it.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world to have Bret come out and be in position, a thorn in Steve Austin's side, if well.
Of course. Did you have any Bret the Hitman Hart shades?
Oh, yeah. I still have some today.
That's awesome. I love it.
You can still pick them up at the Hitman's online store. He sells them.
So what is your early feelings of Stone Cold at this point? Because you're here live. Are you how old are you at this point as well?
I'm about 12 years old here. Yeah, I mean, I like Stone Cold, but of course, he was not as favorable to me as, say, Bret Hart. Actually, my favorite at this point in time was probably Shawn Michaels. I was always a big fan of his, but as I got older, I became more of a Bret Hart fan, and I enjoy both their work, but Bret will always be my number one out of the two, I think. How about you? Who are you really gravitating towards at this point?
Yeah, I love Bret Hart. I love Shawn Michaels. I just love, and I was kind of like you. I liked Owen and Bret and Davey Boy, but yes, Stone Cold, when he got this attitude, as we were little kids trying to catch ourselves, flipping people off and saying fuck to the authority. It was kind of hard to not like him.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, I think by the time we were getting into the late summer, early fall of '97, everybody was a Stone Cold fan. And of course, by the time we saw that stunner on Vince, we were all convinced, no pun intended.
100%.
Yeah, man. So we're seeing Austin right now put the boots to Vader. He's stomping a mud hole and walking it dry on him. And of course, we just saw a commercial there, or rather a glimpse of what's coming up on tap tonight. We have a no holds barred tag war as our main event tonight. The Undertaker is going to team up with Ahmed Johnson to take on Mankind and Farouk.
Ooh, that's a stacked main event right there.
I'd say.
How about Vader? How are we feeling on Vader here? Because he had the WCW run. We saw what he did with Sting. We saw kind of how he kind of came up in New Japan with Stan Hansen, with guys like that. And he's very rough in the ring, but he looks kind of out of shape. Thoughts on Vader by his run?
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't really know much about Vader's past in WCW. I wasn't kind of the encyclopedic knowledge base that I am now in terms of this era. Yeah, I'm much more familiar with it as I've gotten older. But I still think Vader looks good here. I didn't think that he looked as bad as people like to say he did in that match with Shawn at SummerSlam '96. But definitely there were times in Vader's run here in the Fed where he was a step slower. I look at '98, for example, before he went away to learn a new hold, as they say. He wasn't looking all that great, but when he came back, he was moving around quite well. So it's kind of hit and miss with Vader in this era. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of like you as a kid, this guy was intimidating. The music, it's Vader time, time, time. I can't tell you how many times I sang that song. Like it just stuck. He was the mastodon, the man I was hooked as a kid. Obviously he would hurt people. So we kind of see a modern day, Brock Lesnar nowadays where he lays his stuff in and it looks stiff, it looks real. And that's, kind of an early stage of that kind of wrestling, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just wondering that when you did choose to listen to Vader's theme, did you actually make the declarative statement out loud that it was Vader time? It's time. It's Vader time.
We would, of course, me and my brothers would watch it and we would go to each other, and we go, it's dinner time, 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 time. Just having fun, man. That's what this era was. Like, we're kids. We, eat, sleep, breathe, rest.
Yeah. I remember how excited I was when those WWF albums would come out, like WWF The Music Volume 2. You got
so
Vader's
good
on that, and Ken Shamrock and Farouk. And I got so excited about it. I called my brother, who was probably in university at the time. He was probably entertaining a young lady. And I called him up and I said, hey, I got this new CD. And he's like, I don't care. Leave me alone.
So want to hear something kind of crazy as we're watching this match? We were supposed to record Rumble 96, I believe, and Vader's in that Rumble. Well, he's wearing the same singlet, but he's wearing it backwards. So it's just kind of weird, the things you noticed where it said Vader time, but he had it on backwards for some reason. So it's just kind of weird to watch the match now, and I was waiting to see what his singlet looked like.
Yeah, I think sometimes he would wear it backwards in WCW too.
Huh, that's interesting. Wonder what's up with that.
He probably just put it on backwards and didn't bother changing it. I don't know if you've heard the stories about Vader, but apparently he wasn't the best at keeping his gear all that hygienic. Apparently,
oh man,
he would go a couple of weeks on the road without washing his gloves and his tights.
I can just think of like what a football locker room smelled like growing up. So I cannot imagine.
Yeah, I think Bret Hart said it was like wrestling a big tub of vomit.
That's disgusting. Oh
yeah, awful.
How about this? We saw this elbow drop off the middle rope. We see Bret Hart do it. We see Stone Cold do it, but you don't see a lot of wrestlers use that. We see more of the top rope moves. Not as many wrestlers use the second rope anymore.
No, you don't. That's very true. And so it is interesting to see that he is utilizing that particular move. It's maybe doing something to foreshadow his feud with Bret Hart, maybe stealing some of the moves from Bret's repertoire.
Love it.
What's your timestamp there, Matty?
Let's check it out. I am at 9 minutes and 35 seconds.
All right. So I think we're just about to see Steve Austin stun the referee here.
Oh, yep.
That's
Love
Mark Eaton. He actually was the timekeeper. Every once in a while, he'd pull double duty as a referee, but he's predominantly known as the timekeeper.
Love it.
Let me know when you're at 10:07. I'll hit play. I was a little ahead of you.
Okay. They're fighting outside the ring right now for me. We're at 10:07.
All right, let's do it. Oh, we're going to take a ride to the steel steps. Bam. This was the coolest venue to see stuff in. I saw a lot of house shows here growing up. Of course, the first, I believe this would technically be the first domed Raw, but the second domed Raw, if I'm not mistaken, was also here in the SkyDome. It was on February 9th, 1999. And that was, the main event was Austin going up against the Corporation in a gauntlet match. That was the go-home Raw for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre pay-per-view.
Just look at that crowd, man. Like, look how it's like a sea of fans. It's not even what we're used to nowadays. Like, how many were in attendance tonight?
I think just north of 30,000.
Goodness gracious. And they're lucky to get 7 to 10 nowadays.
Yeah, I think that's being generous. I think that their numbers are not the best. Although I will say, just to talk about current day product for a second, I will say I'm pretty excited for this year's Royal Rumble. Probably the most excited I've been for an event since SummerSlam, and before SummerSlam, I don't know when. So it's a really good card this year.
I'm ready. I'm pumped. Royal Rumble is right there with, to me, WrestleMania. You can't beat it. The excitement, the mystery of the surprise entrance, all in all, it just gets you in that feel of WrestleMania.
Oh, it's the best part. For me, the best part of the Rumble is the surprises. You never know who's coming back. Everybody predicts every year. Some years it's a bit of a letdown, who they end up bringing back. But I'm always excited to see who I'm going to see from the past pop up.
Jay, are you getting the commercial for Thursday Raw?
I sure am. That's
what that means, right?
What's that?
You know what Thursday Night Raw means, right?
I do. Shawn losing his smile.
No, well, that too, but the Westminster Dog Show is on Monday night.
Oh yeah. Well, that's I don't know. It's it's a real game time decision for me whether or not I'm going to tune into that or tune into the Westminster Dog Show. So
I love it. Oh,
here we go. Have Savio Vega making his way to the ring. Savio had just recently turned on Ahmed Johnson to join the Nation of Domination in Madison Square Garden, an afternoon matinee show.
Wow. I don't think many people really talk about this style of Nation of Domination with Savio and Crush. I think it's kind of just swept under the rug.
Yeah, this is my favorite version of the Nation.
And then what is this? Right after this, we get the JC whatever and Wolfie D. So we get the 2 white rappers with them.
Yeah, no, they're already there. And there you see D'Lo Brown in the background as well.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a hell of a show. This was such a cool show. And of course, again, being a youngster, I didn't know that they were doing this stuff to prepare for Raw. So I think it was maybe something that was made as a decision on the fly. It certainly wasn't advertised as a Raw taping. So I think they probably just said, you know what, to heck with it. Let's go ahead and just present this on Raw as a main event or as a episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so far it's been good. Your openers, Stone Cold and Vader. I mean, you can't beat that.
No, not at all. Weird to see Savio as a heel here though, eh?
Absolutely, man. Savio is one of those I remember a lot of. Like, I remember him and Stone Cold in the Caribbean strap match. I believe he wrestled Stone Cold at WrestleMania 12, if I'm correct. I believe that's it. But yeah, Savio was a guy I remember as a kid I rooted for. I like Savio.
Yeah, 100%. You are absolutely on the money. He did face Steve Austin at WrestleMania 12. I always remember that match because of Ted DiBiase dumping that big paper cup of soda on the referee to revive him.
Oh, yeah. That's still being shown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it was a rib. He wasn't supposed to do that. And
then we've got Flash Funk. And what was his character in ECW? I'm trying to remember the name.
Too Cold Scorpio.
Too Cold. And I didn't watch much of ECW as a kid, so I really didn't ever see him as Too Cold Scorpio.
Me neither. I've never been much of an ECW mark. For those of you listening, folks that are regular listeners of the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast, you know that I am not very, very high on ECW. I mean, I have a lot of respect for what they did and their contributions to the business, but if I'm going to go back and do a nostalgia watch, it's not going to be an ECW show.
Yeah, I don't know if that's on my top of. I've done rewinds of like hardcore matches, and I did more cringing and more cussing on a hardcore match than I did on any podcast I've ever done. So I don't know if it's just uncomfortable for me or what, but not my style.
I think it's just something that as you get older, you kind of start to realize what it is. It's even like going back to watch the Attitude Era. There's a lot of stuff on the Attitude Era that I kind of cringe at now. And I'm like, how did they get away with this stuff back then?
Right. Yeah, I think that's where me and you have a lot in common, Jay, because we do love this new generation, this kind of, 93 to 97 range, where it's kind of wrestling, it's seeing building new wrestlers telling stories. So I really enjoy watching something like this.
Oh, me too. And I was actually having this conversation with one of the members of the Counted Out 7 family, Tyler from the Counted Out 7 podcast. He recorded an episode with me not too long ago, and we were talking about how I think that this is kind of the sweet spot. 97 from from January on until maybe like the end of summer coming into September. It's kind of the sweet spot for me. Once we got into the DX stuff and the artist formerly known as Gold Dust stuff, that became a little bit too crass and too raunchy for me. I didn't need to see, DX with the bananas. I didn't need to see Gold Dust with a ball gang in his mouth or to have, it insinuated Mark Merrow was roughing up Sable. I didn't need that kind of stuff.
No.
I didn't find that entertaining.
Well, not only that, but the lower, you watch a Raw and you have DX, you have some of these big spots, but a lot of the undercard was really bad. Like in the early days of DX and Heart Foundation, where now you have your Savios, your Flash Funks, your Vaders. You have a pretty stacked roster.
Well, I think by the time we got into the fall of 97, it was almost obligatory that you had to have on every card some fashion of DOA versus Los Boricuas or DOA.
Oh, so bad.
Nation. I mean, I was so over it at that point.
Right.
But this is a hell of a match. I mean, you can see that Flash Funk is really going for it here. I think we're going to be going for a 450 here.
That's a crazy move as it is. And a 450 is what, like almost like a double flip, front flip?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. He did a reverse kind of splash there instead. He did seem pretty far out for a wow, he just landed a front salt leg drop there on Savio.
And this is a big guy. Flash Funk's got to be all of 6'2", 6'3", 240 pounds, it looks like. He's a thick dude. Got some back and forth, going back with the splash here. We'll see what we get. Top rope. Oh, he missed it. Jay, how we doing, brother?
Hello?
Hey, Jay, did I lose you?
No, I'm sorry. I was on mute there for some reason. My apologies.
I got you.
The wonders of technology. I wanted to check what your timestamp is, my friend.
All right, I just saw Flash Funk went off the top rope, missed. We're at 8 minutes. We just saw, it looks like Savio got the win here. Farouk giving him a hug. Where are you at?
I'm right there with you. Right now I'm at 1848, 1849.
Perfect. We're locked in.
But I love it.
Look at that.
That's exactly where I entered on that night, was on the gate 6, right where you're seeing all the fans file in.
Wow. There's Psycho Sid, a little teaser for him, going to be on the show as well. Big Psycho Sid fan. I got a minute commercial here, Jay.
Oh, that's not a problem. You can always pause this bad boy. So yeah, what do you think of the show so far, Matty? What do you liking? What you not liking?
Yeah, I love seeing Vader. Kind of brings up my childhood. I love seeing Stone I love the storytelling with Bret Hart attacking Stone Cold. I think that's perfect. As a wrestling fan, that's what you want to see, continuation of story. And then Savio being in the Nation, you see him picking up the win like he should. Shows the dominant team here of the Nation of Domination. And Flash Funk, yeah, just kind of a spot from the yesteryear. What about you?
Oh, I just love all of it. I mean, I have an emotional connection being
At the
part of the
show.
audience on this night. Have you started back up, my friend?
No, I got about 5 seconds.
All
Getting the
right.
Peacock commercial, and I'll be ready to roll.
Sounds good. We're going to hit play in.
We're ready.
There we go. Just have JR in the ring right now. He's introducing someone. I think it might be Bret Hart. Or no, you know what? Who do I think it is? I think it might be Tiger Ali Singh.
Oh. Jim Ross, a young Jim Ross.
Yes, sir. Oh, Sid. I was wrong on both counts.
Oh, no. Luckily, we're on mute, so we don't have to listen to a Sid promo.
He had decent promos. I didn't hate him.
Let's talk about Sid, though, because I still love, like, intensity. You see him doing the fist bump. Like, he had a title, before this and after this, going into Mania against Taker. So thoughts on Sid as a kid and now?
Oh, I think Sid is criminally underrated. I think he gets a bad rap. I've always really enjoyed Sid's work. Is he the greatest of all time? Certainly not in the ring or otherwise, but I think he could cut a really good promo. We just talked about recently his match with Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 1996. I think that's the best match he ever had. So my thoughts are pretty high on Sid. I know a lot of people look down on him. Even to this day, I have fond memories of him. But again, I think that's probably a nostalgic thing for me, so I'm a little biased. What about you?
Same. I love Sid. As a kid, he was one of my favorites. I don't know if it was just the size, the intensity. I think intensity is a lot, charisma. But as a kid, you got it. And you could feel it when he came to the ring. And then what about the fireworks that would pop up behind him that said Sid? How cool was that?
Oh, that was awesome. I love that. I always remember Survivor Series 1996 when that sign came down and it was shooting the sparklers. And Jim Ross was like, Sid, SID, suddenly I'm dominant.
So good. So good.
Yeah, so awesome. It's a fun nostalgia trip, man, going back down memory lane.
I don't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. Multiple-time world champion. You saw that feud with Hogan. I mean, you go back and watch some of Sid's promos from 92, and he had where he'd powerbomb you and you'd end up on a stretcher. Like, a lot of great storytelling with Sid.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to see Sid in the Hall of Fame. I'd love to see that. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. I'm glad that they're spacing some of these guys out for the Hall of Fame. You don't want to put everybody in. I think the first few classes were really, really stacked. So I think that It's important that they separate them and thin it out a little bit so that by the time you get to, maybe 10 years from now, you're still inducting guys. And it's not inducting guys of a certain level as opposed to just putting people in, right?
So a little tidbit of my nostalgia as a child. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Psycho Sid is from West Memphis, Arkansas, which is literally a stone skip away from me. As a kid, my one of my parents' good friends was a cable installer, and he actually installed cable in Psycho Sid's house. Just something I remember as a kid, and I was like, "Oh my god, can I come with you?" Like,
that's awesome.
Such a big deal when you're a child.
Did you ever go to any of Lawler's USWA shows?
I did. Saturday mornings on with Dave Brown. Yeah, I loved it. I thought you remember Brian Christopher from Too Cool. He was the biggest deal when I was a kid in Memphis at the time, Lawler's kid. So, yeah, absolutely. Wrestling's on a different level in Memphis.
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to go to his bar and grill there on Beale Street.
It's worth the trip. You'll love it. It's just so much nostalgia. Just Beale Street's a real good time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can only imagine. I go to BB King's and go and check out some of the recording studios and then maybe go and have a pour or two somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Have some deep fried ribs.
Ooh, barbecue on another level, my man. I
Yeah,
love
man.
it. I love food.
Oh, me too, as evidenced by my my pant size. So now we see my favorite tag team of all time, the British Bulldog and Owen Hart, in the locker room area, and they are discussing their upcoming match tonight with Doug Furnace and Philip LaFawn. Do you remember that tag team, Maddie?
I remember them, but they felt like they weren't in the WWE too long. And are they a Canada team as well, or no?
Well, Doug Furnace was from Oklahoma, and
Ah.
Philip LaFawn was from France.
Okay, so a little mixed bag. What are your thoughts on these guys? Because I didn't see enough of them to really form an opinion.
Oh, they were a real workhorse tag team. They were such great foils for Bulldog and Owen. They had tremendous matches. So we're going to see one tonight, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I love those old tag team belts, by the way, the best ones.
Absolutely. Were you a Owen guy or a Bulldog guy?
I was both. As I said, this was my favorite tag team of all time.
I was a big Bulldog guy. I thought he was a main event wrestler. You know, you go back before this when he had the long hair and he Diesel. I mean, all the way like the British Bulldogs. I remember that. And then I remember just that run he had, the match with Brett, and then you have that feud with Diesel. I think it was about 95. And I was just a real big Bulldog fan. It took me a while to warm up to Owen Hart, but you can tell he's one of the best wrestlers in the game.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this crowd shot, man. Are you seeing this?
Absolutely. Crazy.
That's a Raw in
Yeah,
97.
There's not many Toronto SkyDome shows. Like the ones that come to mind are WrestleMania 18. I think it's WrestleMania 6. I mean, some big moments in wrestling history.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was there for the Hogan Rock thing, and I've never been in an environment like that in a wrestling.
That's the bucket list, man. You checked it off.
Oh, yeah. That's, I mean, I always wanted, I like to go to WrestleManias. I've been to, I guess, 3 of them now. Or no. Yeah, 3 of them. And I would like to go to another one. But, I mean, it's pretty hard to top that Hogan Rock situation.
No, you had it. Did you do the access and all that as well?
Oh, yeah. I did the access. And then I was at 25, too, for Taker Michaels. So
wow.
I have a hard time kind of topping what I've already seen. I think maybe it might be time to retire my Mania trips. Although I would like to go to 40 if this whatever's happening in the world kind of settles down.
Right. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
Have
you been to many live events, my friend?
I've been to a ton of live events. I've been to a bunch of Raws. I haven't been to a pay-per-view yet. It's weird. I don't know if it's to the point where I'm not as intrigued to go, but I feel like with wrestling, because we are so stuck in this like glory years of the 90s, early 2000s, I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much. I think I'd be more about going to like a Access or something like that.
Oh yeah, and I completely get that. I think when you go live, it's always fun. It's always fun to go and see it live, but you're absolutely right. It's never going to be the same as when we grew up, and it's never going to be the same even as it was when we were, in our early 20s or in our teenage years. So you might still enjoy the experience quite a bit going to see it live, but it's never going to be the same kind of emotional connection to the performers as it would be, for example, on a match like we're watching right now, seeing the Bulldog hoisting up Phil LaFawn for the power slam, and LaFawn slides out of it, shoves Bulldog into the turnbuckle, sternum first, and Bulldog returns with a clothesline. Now LaFawn's down on the mat.
Just some wrestling, man. Like, you weren't kidding.
Yeah, now we got Owen Hart in the ring, just getting taken down with an arm drag. And
was
LaFawn
it the person of LaFawn and Furnace? Is that what kind of just didn't get them over? Because they have good mat work.
Yeah, I think that they just they weren't doing a lot in terms of their mic skills. I don't think that they really could have used a mouthpiece. They could have used a cornet, I think.
Right. Which seems like an easy fix with a lot of just wrestling in general. Like if these guys can't talk, like just get them a manager. It's not that much work.
Yeah, I mean, you work for the world's greatest tag team. You get Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas out there not necessarily the greatest promos in the world, but when you're working on that level, if you're that elite level athlete with those kinds of athletic skills, you don't necessarily need somebody. You don't need to do talking. You let the wrestling do the talking for you, and someone else can fill in the blanks, I think.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of a lost art as well.
Oh, 100%. I long for the days. I was just watching a little bit of Royal Rumble on 89 earlier today, and seeing Slick out there trying to sell his numbers to the $1 Million Man for the Twin Towers was pretty funny.
I can get lost in like wrestling clips. It's one of those, like, sometimes I just got to get off my phone because I'll just scroll through them and be watching so much nostalgia.
Oh, I know it. You do it before bed and suddenly you're like, what the? It's 2 a.m.
It's crazy, man.
But luckily for me, that's when it's time to get a snack. So then I go make myself something and right back on my phone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So we're having a good time here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, as alluded to, for those of you just joining us, or if you want a refresher, we are on the February 3rd, 1997 episode of Monday Night Raw, emanated from the SkyDome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, originally recorded from the live event on January 31st, 1997, in which I was a part of there as the audience, I wasn't the entire audience. And we are watching currently a tag team championship match touting the British Bulldog and Owen Hart defending their World Wrestling Federation tag team championships, going up against the newcomer team of Doug Furnas and Philip LaFawn. Now, Matty Daddy is joining me, ladies and gentlemen. And Matty, where the heck are you with this match? What are you thinking? You enjoying this? Are you liking the mat work?
Absolutely. I am blown away by LaFawn and Furnas. Just the mat work. Like you said, I didn't remember a lot of them. Only time I really remember seeing them was Survivor Series 96. So to get to watch them work here, it's pretty impressive. I'm almost slighted that these guys didn't have a run.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have used the titles. Had they given the championships around this time, I think it might have elongated their run a little bit. But by the time we got into the spring and summer of 97, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there was a car accident that put them on the shelf for the better part of the summer. And by the time they came back, there really wasn't much in terms of a place for them on the card. The Federation was moving in a different direction. And with workers like these guys, they were much more geared towards the DXs and the artists formerly known as Gold Dusts and things of that nature, as we were earlier, right?
The Vince Brusso time frame, it sounds like.
Yeah. We're not going to insult your intelligence with good guys versus bad guys.
Yeah, we're just going to insult your intelligence with wrestling matches. We're going to put 20 wrestling matches on a Raw, and they're all going to be 2 minutes.
Yes, exactly. And we're going to change the names of characters from NXT going up to the main roster because we don't want you to know who they are.
Yeah, what the hell is going on with Vince McMahon? Like,
I don't know.
He's too much.
I don't really know what's going on with NXT. I'll tell you that. I mean, they went from a model that seemed to be working really, really well. It was like it was really doing what it was supposed to be doing, developing the next generation of stars for them. 90% of the guys on the main roster right now came through NXT in some shape, form, or fashion, guys and gals. And now I don't really know what's going on with that product.
Yeah, it's not gonna get from listening to Scotty 2 Hotty talk on Jericho's podcast. They're just expediting the process. They're ramping it up where you don't really have that much time to learn how to do a promo, a gimmick, anything. They're just getting you in and out fast and on TV. Yeah,
well, that's just it. If you're going to turn up the heat on your grill, it's not going to cook the chicken breast any faster if you're cooking it for less amount of time.
Exactly. Yeah, saw the promo for a week from now, Lowell, Massachusetts. So, like you said, you're literally a week out from Shawn Michaels losing his smile.
Yeah, we certainly are, and that would bring us right into the Final Four in your house pay-per-view, which is actually, ironically enough, I'll just drop the information for you folks right now. Next week on the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast, we will be back to our rebooking format as I rebook the In Your House Final Four pay-per-view event, reset the table going into WrestleMania 13. Tyler from the Counted Out 7 was my co-host. We had a great time doing it, and we can't wait to bring you that particular piece of business. But this week, we are covering this event so we can familiarize you with the events going on in the Federation before we get into that aforementioned pay-per-view event.
Love it.
What do you have coming up on tap, Matty? You got to tell us while we're watching Owen Hart work over Doug Furnace here with a neck breaker. What do you have coming up on tap?
Well, I'm as they say sometimes in the porn industry, I'm balls deep in Royal Rumble talk. I have I'm backed up. We have 6 Rumble I'm supposed to do with you, Jay, when I get free time. I have the 94 Rumble with Nick, and then I believe I've got the 95. So you're going to get 94, 95, 96 Rumbles, all Wrestling Matt podcast. Matty Daddy presents. So check it out. We've done some WrestleMania, some Royal Rumbles in the past, but it's Rumble season. Got to get it in. Man, but I'm moving next week, so we're kind of delayed right now.
No, that's awesome, and I can't wait to return the favor and come on your show and talk all things 1996 Royal Rumble. That was a hell of a Rumble, and I'm gonna drop a little bit of knowledge here, just a spoiler alert about the Royal Rumble 96. I was gonna mention on your show, but I thought, what the heck? Let's mention it now.
Yeah, let's talk about it
again in your show too. Is that was the first Rumble where they actually had entrance music for every entrant. It used to be just the first 1 and 2, and then it ended up being all 30 participants got their theme.
Which
played.
It should be. It should be. Like it adds so much to it.
Oh, I mean, that's half the fun of the Rumble is when you get the surprise and you hear the theme song.
We see more feuding with Owen and Davey here, kind of carrying over from. I'm at the Raw continues, so I just hit a commercial break.
All right. What's your timestamp, Matty?
Let's check it out. We have some tag team action here, 35 minutes and 10 seconds.
All right. Well, I'm a smidge ahead of you, so you let me know when you're at 36:04 and I'll catch up.
All right. Yeah, Owen and Davey are just bickering here. Like you said, them as a tag team, I don't think a lot of teams could match them.
No, and this was at this point where they were planting those seeds with the dissension. You got to remember, this is not too far removed, or rather too far away from that finals of the European Championship tournament that took place in Berlin, Germany, with Owen and Bulldog in the finals. About a month away from that.
Man, I still can't believe how they did Bulldog dirty with the European title at what was that pay-per-view? It was
One
UK event. Oh man, I'm still salty about that.
Oh, I don't blame you. What's your time, man?
All right, we are at 36:06.
All right,
we're getting the looks like Furnace or LaFawn here is hulking up on them. Man, Owen Hart's just impressive with his moveset. We just saw him jump off the second rope into a crossbody.
Nice.
I've reviewed quite a bit with Owen Hart, and he's such a good wrestler, and then sometimes he looks very reckless. And maybe that's just me. I think I was like 3 King of the Ring I've seen with him, some other matches, and I'm like, man, like these guys look like they could get seriously hurt, but he's such a good wrestler. So it's say he's, everybody I've heard talked good about this guy, and I believe it. But sometimes it looks a little too like it maybe hurts more than it should.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe sometimes when you're as good as he was, he makes it look so convincing.
So real.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Brett. You see Brett, when he throws a punch, you think he connects with all those. You don't think he's working.
Absolutely. And that could very well be it. You watch a whole match card, and then you get to an Owen Hart, Bret Hart match, and you're like, these guys are being snug.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Who would you say in your mind is your favorite, guy to throw a fist, or guy or gal? who would you say, like, I think that's the Memphis guys, going back to the Memphis conversation. You talk about a Jarrett, you talk about a Lawler. Those guys throwing fists were so convincing. Nobody threw fists better than a guy from the Memphis territory.
Man, it's tough. I will say, like, bell to bell, I think nobody wrestles a better match than Bret Hart. So it's tough for me. He's the one I think of anytime I think of wrestling. I just think of just such a good storyteller. But Fist, that's tough, man. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd put Bret Hart up there.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right on the money there. I think that Bret Hart is the complete package. I do also think that, well, maybe if he did have one kind of fault in his armor, it would be his promos. Maybe it would be not his strongest suit, but I definitely think that his promos were really, really good as well, especially in this time frame, 97, when he was turning heel and doing the America versus Canada thing. I think that he was really on the highest point of his promo.
Right.
Right.
I think Bret Hart gets a bad rap. Like, I think people don't realize, like, the greatness that was there. You know, a promo is one thing, but to, like, literally tell a story in a match, that's a whole nother level. And what he was able to do with big guys like Diesel, like Yokozuna, I mean, it's just, the list goes on. Perfect, Piper, anybody and everybody had their best match with Bret Hart.
100%. I can't argue that whatsoever. Wouldn't even if I could.
No, it's not worth it. And I'm like you. I'm a big Shawn Michaels guy. As far as entertainment, charisma, I love it. How about Ahmed Johnson here with the monstrous 2x4? What? How tall is that? So a 2x4, this one's like 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It is a large piece of wood. What is your timestamp there, Matty?
We've got Ahmed Johnson, looks like 39:52.
Okay, so you're way ahead of me now.
Oh, let me pause it then.
No, that's okay. I was still on the Owen Bulldog match. I don't know how that happened.
I don't either. Like, we were literally like synced up. But yeah, Owen Hart, Bulldog, one of the best tag teams ever. From watching this, now I have a whole new respect for Furnace and LaFon.
All right, well, you let me know where you are and you pause, and then I'll catch up to you.
All right, I am paused at 39:58.
All right.
Guys, a lot of good wrestling here. If you are not one that grew up watching 90s wrestling, definitely check it out. So far, this card has been stacked.
Absolutely. And we are now back live watching Ahmed Johnson kick down the door of the Nation of Domination. Well, not live. You know what I mean. This is 25 years ago. So
such Ahmed a big dude.
Promo.
God, he's scary, man.
He sure is. He looks like a house of fire.
He was one of those other ones, man. I really thought he was, him and Sid. I remember we got that match, what was it, briefly after SummerSlam. It was the Vancouver International incident with Ahmed, Sid, and Shawn. And I was like, dude, this is like an all-star team.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be Warrior, not Sid, remember?
Crazy. Could you imagine Warrior, like, if he was here in this time frame?
Not really. No. I mean, it's interesting to think that Warrior was there in 96. He was there for about 3.5 months, and then he was gone. It was almost just like a fever dream or something.
Yeah, I don't know how it would have went, but you had him with, Jerry Lawler and with Goldust, with the squash match with Triple H. So it's just kind of interesting to see how they would have booked him moving forward.
Yeah, we got The Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson in each other's faces now. I know exactly. Undertaker's saying here, he's like, if you go now, you go alone. If you you wait for me, we'll bury him together.
There you go. I love it.
And here we go with an In Your House Final Four promo. Sponsored by Western Union, the fastest way to send money worldwide.
Vince McMahon on color commentary, I thought was always pretty good. I got a commercial here Just giving you a head of track. I'm watching Nordic Track commercials real quick.
Oh, that sounds great. There's nothing that's going to appeal to a wrestling fan watching the network than a Nordic Track.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to go work out. This is
Yeah.
awful.
I want to go load up my bowl of party mix here and continue to go on.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions were like a month ago. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. We've all given up by now.
Yeah, I'm good on that. No Nordic Tracks for me.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you start back up. I'm at 41.55.
All right. Well, I'm watching the Western Union commercial real quick. Got to get my money orders in line.
Well, it is the fastest way to send money worldwide. So
I've done it before, a long time ago. Okay, I'm outside the stadium now. We're back up. I just saw a Gold Dust fan. Where are you at? 42.12 is where I'm at.
All right. Well, I am at. I will let you know that I am at 42.24.
All right, let's rock it.
Are you there as well?
Yep, I'm there now.
Perfect. There we see the world famous Jumbotron. That was the large screen that was inside the SkyDome. If you're a baseball fan, I'm sure you're familiar with the SkyDome as the inspirational home of the Toronto Blue Jays, now known as the Rogers Centre, but we all call it the SkyDome here in the Toronto area. The greater
How far is Montreal from Toronto?
About 6 hours.
Okay, so a whole different area.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball of wax over there in Quebec. Nice people, good food.
Yeah. Gold Dust just always made me feel uncomfortable as like a kid.
Yes, I was not really sure what to think of Gold Dust in my formative years, but I grew to appreciate his character. And of course, when he turned face, I was a big fan. So,
and I will say Marlena was like one of my favorites growing up. I just thought she was beautiful.
Well, I think for any young man who was growing up in this time frame, Marlena was probably the apple of most people's eyes. I was always more of a Sunny guy myself.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that hasn't turned out too well lately.
No, but just like nostalgia, I can always go back and have
right.
fun.
Yeah, she was beautiful as well.
Oh yeah, I remember looking at those Raw magazines with the pictorial spreads.
Man, the Raw magazines. Those are awesome.
Yeah. Those were awesome. Yeah, I think I wore a couple of those Raw magazines out with watching, awesome. Looking at those photos. And of course, we had the fun thing about those magazines too is we had really good articles, and we had those lists. They used to rank the competitors in the federation too.
Mm-hmm. I remember. All right, well, let's talk Crush here for a minute because you probably don't talk a ton about him. Any thoughts on Crush, just in general? Like I never really got into the character, any of the characters with him. What were your thoughts on Crush?
Oh, I enjoyed Crush, especially here in this version of him as part of the Nation of Domination. I oftentimes forget about his run there in '93 as Cone Crush. It's sort of a forgettable thing. Every time I see him on screen in that time frame, I'm like, oh yeah, Crush.
But, it's like a polar opposite, like I guess outfit or personality too.
Yeah, he looked like a box of Crayola pencil crayons when he was in the early '90s, but now he's kind of, well, just like Vince alluded to, shades of gray here.
Yeah, he never clicked with me. He wasn't one of those guys like I really wanted to watch. I've seen some of his early days and even like the DOA. It just never, the biker gang gimmick, it never, from this to Chuck Palumbo a few years later, I just never got into it.
Yeah, even with him as part of Demolition, by the time he joined Demolition, I was kind of over Demolition as a tag team. I think it was good with Axe and Smash, but once we got Crush in there, it just wasn't the same.
It's like watered down. Yeah,
exactly.
It's just such a weird like trajectory Crush had, like all these different characters, being best friends with the Macho Man, Undertaker, such a character.
Oh yeah, and the guy wasn't a half bad worker, but I mean, you can see the difference here you have as we get a shot of the aforementioned Marlena there, Terry Runnels. We have Gold Dust working the arm of Crush right now. I think we're going to be starting to heat this thing back up. We're working some rest holds.
Right.
Here comes Hunter Hearst Helmsley down the aisle. Are you seeing this, my friend?
I am. What's going on?
Well, at this point, we had Triple H kind of feuding with Goldust. He had his eye on Marlena, trying to get Marlena to kind of part company with Goldust and join him, but clearly it wasn't going to happen. So Goldust obviously took exception to this, and now he's causing some distraction and allowed Crush of the Nation of Domination to gain the upper hand here.
Triple H, born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
He most certainly was. Yeah.
Do you remember the video games from this time frame? The like in your house video game, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, WrestleMania, the arcade game.
Oh, that was the one, man.
Yeah, the thing about them though was they were a lot of fun to play, but at the same time they were a little weird because it was more of like an arcade type thing with the mallets and everything, weapons, right?
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Definitely.
Do you like that kind of wrestling game, or do you like the ones that are more realistic? Since we're talking about wrestling games, folks, spoiler alert, we're recording this a couple of weeks out, and we just got news of the WWE 2K22 release, which looks sick. Have you heard about that?
I've seen that NWO and the Rey Mysterio pictures everywhere on social media. So how do you not get pumped as a wrestling fan?
Are you a video game guy now, Matty?
I wish. I used to love it. I mean, I've got the one, but with a 3, a 5-year, or a 3, a 6-year-old, and a 4-month-old, there's just no time.
Yeah, that's very fair. I'm glad you were able to squeeze us in here for an hour and a half today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I used to love video games, man, and I used to love the wrestling game storylines, but not an arcade fan. Not, if I had an arcade, it'd be more like having some brews with the buddies playing a game. I love to dive into the wrestling, as much as we do these podcasts.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I could get lost down a rabbit hole just doing a create your own arena or create your own wrestler type thing. And but the arcade games, I'm with you. If I'm going to do an arcade game and I'm going to have a couple of pints with the boys, give me a Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, but the evolution of wrestling games as well, you can say. I remember the first game I got hooked on was the Monday Night Raw one, which was the Sega Genesis, and I thought that was the best game ever. And then to go to the arcades with the Super Nintendos, Sega Saturns, whatever. So what you got, probably right after this time, Warzone.
Yeah, that's right. And I remember starting off with Royal Rumble. That was, I think, the first one on SNES that we were playing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, Warzone, and then Attitude. And then after that, we went into the SmackDowns. I got to give some love to WCW NWO Revenge on N64.
Absolutely. All of them were so good. I was 8th grade. I would save up. My parents would give me, $5 a day for lunch money. I'd save up the $5 for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and I'd go buy the No Mercy game at Blockbuster. It was a used copy, just praying it was still there by the time I had my money saved up.
Oh, yeah. I remember that No Mercy. That was a fun game, that No Mercy. Huge roster. You could do it. You could make your own cards, and then you could just play match after match on them. That was a fun game.
Everything. Just part of the nostalgia of growing up, man. We had it made. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I absolutely agree. As far as wrestling goes, we were so lucky to grow up in this era because it's never going to get better. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, folks. For those of you that are listening to this podcast that are maybe, in your early 20s or what have you, I hope you love wrestling. AEW is great. WWE is great. There's a lot of options out there, but you're never, ever going to get an era like Maddie and I grew up in ever again.
Absolutely. We're blessed because we know so much of the 90s. We know what's going on now, and yet we can still go back and watch these guys before they were, stars of the 90s, to go back to the territory days of the 80s and kind of be like, oh, man, this was ran. So we've really got just kind of a blessing of all these different genres.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. You got the 80s and the 90s, and they kind of meld together as one. As we just saw Savio Vega nail a spinning heel kick
Oh,
on
man.
Goldust from behind, and the heart punch for the victory. Crush is having his hand raised by Jack Doan here. Jack Doan, of course.
Nation's getting over.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You're not supposed to know the name of the referees, Jay.
That's true. Not in this era, but I just remember him specifically because he took a pretty vicious choke slam after the Undertaker lost to Vader at the Rumble. He was choke slammed pretty hard by Undertaker there. And of course, now we're cutting to a new Blackjacks promo with Jack Lanza.
Jack Lanza here, huh? And he was the road agent, I believe.
Mm-hmm. But he was one of the original Blackjacks, and now he's talking about bringing in a couple of fresh-faced youngsters to be the next version of the Blackjacks, which, of course, would end up being Justin Hawk Bradshaw, John Bradshaw Layfield, and Barry Windham.
And if anybody doesn't know who Windham is, one of the members of the Four Horsemen of the 80s.
That's right, 100%. Whereabouts are you, Matty? Are you just watching a U.S. Army commercial?
I'm seeing tonight. We've got the stadium outside. Shawn Michaels showing with the championship. I'm at 52-35.
Okay, I'm at 52-39, so I'll hit play now, and we're right there. Just saw Shawn drop the elbow on Sid at the Rumble.
Whoa. But I am getting a Squarespace commercial. The benefits of being in America.
Oh, yes. That's that. If you're wondering, folks, what the discrepancy here is, I'm watching the WWE Network on my cable provider's outlet here in Canada, Rogers Cable, whereas Maddie is watching on Peacock. And it seems that they're adding a lot of commercial breaks into the Peacock programming. We don't get any of those up here. For those of you familiar with the former programming format of the network, we're kind of still on that. And by the sounds of it, it's a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, we've already hit 4 commercial breaks, and we're 50 minutes in, if that?
Yeah, that's it. So I'm at 52-47 right now. You let me know when you start back up, and we'll sync this sucker back up, man.
All right.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm having a great time. I'm very happy you came on. I hope you're enjoying yourself. This is a trip right down the lane.
Absolutely. I love watch. All right. We are at the Slam of the Week with Shawn Michaels and Sid from the Rumble. So have you already passed that?
Let me know when you're at 52-47 and I'll press play.
All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. My time says 47.
All right.
I'm getting a Sid powerbomb outside.
Nice. U.S. Army, be all you can be. Love it. I love that they had these promos.
Did you ever think about joining the military?
It's not something that I really considered here in Canada. How about yourself?
Not till it was too late to join. You know, you're out of college, and then you're like, oh, maybe I should join. But I was also, 27. So that's more of a 17, 18-year-old gig.
Yeah. I had some family members who were involved in the military, so I have a great deal of respect for anybody who serves, and for anybody who's listening to this tonight and who has served. We thank you for your service, whether it be in the Canadian Armed Forces or in the U.S. Armed Forces.
Even Sergeant Slaughter, that's an order.
That's it, right there, with his fatigues and his.
He was the man of the early 90s, yeah. G.I. Joe!
Real American hero. Be all you can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what was it he used to say? It was knowing's half the battle?
I think so. I think you were on point on that one.
So we have Shawn Michaels in the ring right now, and he is doing
He seems so happy.
Fanfare.
He seems like he's in a good mood. There's no real issues going on.
Well, probably because he's in Canada and he knows he's going to get booed, so he's about to play it up to the crowd. So what are your thoughts about Shawn Michaels? There's a lot of contrary opinions. You see Vince McMahon in the ring about ready to do a promo here with him. I personally think that Shawn's latter half of his career is really what cemented him as one of the greatest of all time. That run from 2002 until 2010 is just outstanding. But of course, you got some incredible stuff here. Where do you lay on Shawn Michaels? Are you a fan of his stuff?
Crazy that you brought this up, because I am the polar opposite. I hate when he came back. I don't know if it was because he didn't look the same. He didn't look like to me, he was a great wrestler, no matter what. But I didn't take him as your main event guy. I don't know if it was just because he looked like he aged so much, but that to me, went from 93 to 98, like that's the Shawn Michaels I love.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I mean, I started watching wrestling in 96. So my first real exposure to WWF was when Shawn was doing his first title run. So I have a big sentimental spot in my heart for Shawn Michaels.
I'll never discount his wrestling ability. But to me, when I think Shawn Michaels, I think, 95, 96. Then that DX turn that made me hate him. Like that's the Shawn Michaels that will always go down in my, we just talked about the Heartbreak Kid podcast I did 96 to 98. That's my bread and butter.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally get that. I think just for me, by the time we got to the DX stuff in 97, 98, I was kind of turned off by it. So when he came back in 2002 and had that run, I was supremely satisfied as a wrestling fan to have one of my childhood heroes come back and make good, because it would have really been a shame had his career ended at WrestleMania 14.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that was the thing. We didn't have the internet. Like, you're always hoping, somebody's going to come back like a Shawn Michaels anytime. And you get these teases with him as a commissioner. So you always thought it was like very possible. But yeah, just what a hell of a wrestler. Between him and Bret Hart, I mean, I don't think there's a better wrestler in ring. You can put Ric Flair up there, but I think it's really Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, bell to bell.
Speaking of Bret Hart, there you see him right now. He's sitting right at gorilla position, watching on the monitor and watching on the big screen there in the SkyDome in Toronto. He is listening and hanging on every word that Shawn has to say. He does not look particularly impressed with what he hears Shawn saying right now.
Yeah, it's in our original plans before a week later with the smile was Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 13, correct?
That's the working plan from my understanding. Some people have agreed, some people have denied, but we will certainly, I think, have to believe in history that that's the trajectory that they were heading towards, is Shawn and Bret at WrestleMania 13.
Just wild, how it all kind of plays out with the screw job.
Well, Matty, you know what I'm thinking? I know this event like the back of my hand. I know that Bret's going to come out here in a second, and he's going to want to have some rebuttal to what Shawn's saying here. What do you think about when Bret comes out? Maybe we just lay out for a second and have a listen to what Bret's saying.
Let's do it.
All right, so we'll just wait for Bret to come out. We're going to let Shawn continue to dig himself a hole here that I think Bret might provide a shovel for him. It seems to me like Shawn is very much aware of the fact that he is not in Kansas anymore as relates to being in the U.S. You know what? Let's chime in now and hear what Shawn has to say. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yes. Uh-oh. Here comes the hitman. Nonetheless. Uh-oh. This could be most interesting and most physical.
Can you hear it okay, Matty?
Yes, sir.
Muhammad Ali, I don't think so. Dennis Rodman, maybe. No matter how much I try to like you, but I find it harder and harder and harder all the time. You know, when I think of all the things I've said about you, I think you capped it best yourself when you called yourself a degenerate. And you may pride yourself on being able to be a complete and total jackass. But the truth of the matter is, we don't have to like it. As far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but a punk.
Well, Bret Hart is saying exactly what's on his mind here tonight in Toronto, eh?
Yeah, this is almost uncomfortable because Shawn Michaels is supposed to be the heel. You're not used to seeing Bret Hart as Shawn Michaels is supposed to be the face, and you're not used to seeing Bret Hart as the heel.
No, not at all. And just as we were finishing up that promo, Steve Austin came out and just completely blindsided Bret. Those two are throwing bombs at ringside right now. Shawn is nonplussed about the whole thing, just taking it all in from the comfort of the confines of the ring right now. And here comes Sid to get some of his comeuppance on Shawn, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what a time to be alive.
Right. Just look at this, how fast Austin's being elevated. And then you have Sid right here. Golly.
Oh, this is one of my favorite parts here. I don't know whereabouts you are, Maddie. Are you at...
I got the commercial break, so I'm seeing a Grovco dish soap. So far I've had the NordiTrack, and now I've had a dish soap commercial. I don't really get it.
Yes.
I don't know what they're doing to me. They're trying to get me to unsubscribe.
It sounds like the world's worst showcase showdown on The Price is Right.
Who is watching this? Like, why would you target the audience with this shit?
I don't know. It sounds like maybe they should be showing Matlock reruns instead of Raw reruns.
I'm that. Shawn just laid his belt down.
All right. So I'm at 101, 31, 32, 33. Bret looks like he's in position to he might be ready to shoot one of those magic loogies. I don't think he's going to. But look at Shawn with that chewing gum, just
getting in his face. Man, just uncomfortable almost.
I'd say.
Just two of the best wrestlers of all time, and they just couldn't see eye to eye.
You see Bret putting his foot on Shawn's belt.
Oh.
So now Bret's holding Shawn's belt. What's he going to do with it?
So what's the deal with Shawn Michaels? Like with your story on him losing his smile. Like what made him go away from here till what? SummerSlam?
I don't know. There's a lot of different contrary opinions. I don't know what the true story really is. I don't think we ever really will. There's some people that say that he didn't want to do the job to Bret, so he just kind of feigned an injury. There's other people that say that he was legitimately hurt. But, the guy has this seemingly career-ending injury, and then fast forward, 2 months, he's doing moonsaults off the top rope just to show off. It's a little suspicious. I don't really know what the true story is.
All right. So
maybe
can I ask you one more question?
Sure you can.
Shawn Michaels face or Bret Hart heel?
Bret Hart heel.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
Because
Shawn Michaels heel or Bret Hart face?
Shawn Michaels heel, maybe. It's hard to say. Like, I feel like Bret was really good at both.
Right. Same.
I feel like not to say that Shawn wasn't, but I think that Shawn is so much more natural as a heel that and especially during this time when he was kind of a white meat baby face, when he was just kind of being himself, and he was a face in his second run back, we just alluded to, from 2002 to 2010, when he was a face, but he wasn't the white meat baby face that he would be in 96. I think that was good. But when he was trying to be, the aw shucks, shake hands and kiss baby face. I don't think that fit him very well in terms of.
Well, you saw the same with Diesel. Like once they kind of let him just be Diesel, he was such a different style. So I agree. I think it's funny to like put it in that perspective. It just shows you how hell of a worker Bret Hart was.
Oh, 100%. I'll never argue with that. I mean, right now I see Hunter Hearst Helmsley on the way to the ring carrying the Intercontinental Championship as he is about to go on one with Wildman Mark Marrow.
Oh, it took me a while to warm up to Triple H. Like during this time, I just wasn't a fan.
But I don't think anybody was.
And who would have thought, this is 97. Who would have thought 99? Like even when he was in DX at first with Shawn, I just didn't see it. And then what he was able to do when he turned into the game is just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's the evolution of the character. I mean, that goes back to what we see with this time period where you see the WWF is clearly going with the youth, whereas WCW is really relying on established characters from the past in the WWF. So you have your Hogans, your Pipers, you have your Halls, Nashes, and Savages. And then on Raw and on in WWF programming, you have your Hitmans, your Shawn Michaels, you have your Undertaker,
right.
Triple H.
Just takes a little bit of time.
It does, exactly. And once we established these new characters on television and we started to get an evolution, it was just a matter of time before they all blew up. I mean, look at Rocky Maivia.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy to think. I mean,
The Rock and Triple H, man. Like, or even Mick Foley, like Mankind was just more of a like crazy guy. When we were watching this in 96, 97, we didn't see these guys as like main event guys.
Yeah. And I mean, if they had been put in that position at that time, I think we all would have been like, what?
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why the tide turned in 98, like it did for WCW. I mean, they were winning the ratings war through the better part of 98, or at least into the summer. I think that they were still exchanging ratings battles, victories through the better part of 98. But you could clearly see that once the WWF had changed trajectory and doing the Attitude Era stuff, you could see that they were clearly going to forge ahead, right?
Oh, La Femme Nikita commercial here.
Oh, Peter Wilson.
Oh my gosh. I have not seen that commercial or that little promo in what, 20 years? More than that?
Probably since it aired.
Wow. And that was like an every week thing. Like you saw that was on right after.
Yeah, 100% on the USA Network. Crazy.
That and what was it? Pacific Blue?
Pacific Blue. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh man, this is why this is so fun, man. Like doing a watch along, you get to like experience your childhood, and yeah, those were things that like maybe we never watched, but they were staples of this era.
Oh yeah, it's one of the things I love to do is I have some old tapes for a VCR that I recorded of old Raw episodes from 96, 97. I haven't watched them in years, but I have them in a storage locker because I know one day I'm going to go and grab them and I'm going to put them in and I'm going to see all those old commercials from 96 and 97. Like I remember one that's coming to my mind right now is that Lipton's iced tea commercial with Rocky.
Yep. Oh my gosh. There were so many.
Nothing is over, just give me something to drink.
Oh. Hey, while we have a boring match like this, or I wouldn't say boring, but not anything we give a shit about. Let's talk wrestling figures because they were hot during this time, right? The Jakks
I had them
wrestling
all.
figures.
I had them
yeah.
All
How cool were those?
Oh yeah, with bone crunching action.
Right, because you had the ring, you had the wrestling figures, and you had the CD, so you could literally have your own wrestling everything.
Oh man, you have no idea. When I was growing up, I was so obsessed with this stuff. I was making my own mats. I was having my mom sew me a canvas to put on my ring. I had ring aprons.
That's badass.
I had the guardrails. I had entranceways that I made with chicken wire. I even had sparklers for birthday cakes as pyro. I had the whole.
You're awesome, dude.
Yeah. It was
I
cool.
remember the highlight was when I asked for a strobe light for Kane's entrance during
Nice.
one of my birthdays.
Yeah.
Strobe light, literally just to put red tissue paper over to make Kane's entrance.
That's so cool. Yeah, I had a strobe light too. I had all that stuff. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I even had from Halloween, I had the fake blood. So every once in a while, in one of my matches, someone would get color.
I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was so fun. That's the one thing that kids these days don't they don't get to enjoy. I guess they still make toys like that, but when you and I were
But you have
growing
your
up,
phone now. We didn't have phones, you know.
no, that's
We
it.
literally just had imagination.
When you and I were growing up, it was all about your imagination. Exactly, like
You had 30
toys.
TV channels to pick from, and you had your toys. You had literally, you could do a chore to get $5 to go get a wrestling figurine.
That's exactly right, and you enjoyed it and you appreciated it so much, and it was so much fun to just go and haul up in your room and create your own world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I love talking to people around my age about wrestling, because we all identify the same way with this kind of stuff. It's just,
Yeah, we grew up. Yeah.
Yep. We're going to have to do this again, man. I'm having too much fun to do it at once.
Dude, it just brings back all the feels. You know what I mean? Because we are so familiar. We went through the same thing. So
100%.
we're not in college yet. We're not Girl Scouting for girls. We're literally in our early ages watching wrestling.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm happy if I'm able to put on, go to the video store on a Friday night, pick out my favorite Coliseum video, get myself a bag of chips and an RC Cola. I'm set for the weekend.
Living the dream.
100%. And that's all you cared about at that point. School's out. Where's my favorite Royal Rumble or SummerSlam video? The hardest choice of the night was Cool Rancher or Nacho Doritos, right?
Just getting to go to the movie store. Like, how awesome was that?
Oh, it was great. And you're like in heaven, right? Because you see all the titles of the wrestling, videos in general, but you get to see all the wrestling tapes, and you're like, oh, I haven't seen this one before.
Dude, that was everything.
100%. 100%.
What about Mark Marrow here? It's weird to see him as Johnny B. Bad. Granted, I never watched WCW before the NWO invasion, but to see his character in WCW is kind of a Little Richard knockoff, and then he comes here and just really doesn't ever get any traction.
No, he didn't do a whole lot with his run here. I mean, he did the Marvelous Mark Marrow thing after this. I got to say, a lot of people seem to think that he was not a particularly good worker, and I think he's pretty solid. I mean, he had
personality. You could tell he wasn't bad. It just didn't click.
No, exactly. And I think that he would have some pretty decent matches. I mean, I remember even his feud with Steve Austin after the King of the Ring. They had a match at that International Incident pay-per-view we were talking about before. So yeah, man, this is peak Marrow for sure in latter half of 96, early 97.
They're just going back and forth.
They sure are. What's your time code there, man?
Let's see where we're at. It's kind of different because we are getting these commercials, but I'm at 1:10. So I think we're a little different in time codes as well. Right now I've got Triple H asking, he's in the corner getting worked on by Marrow. Looks like he's about to do the 10 punch.
All right. Well, I'm at 1:13:39. So you let me know when you're there and I'll press play.
All right. Give it a good old play.
All right. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here with this particular episode of Raw. We're not too far removed from the main event as we see Hunter Hearst Helmsley right now poised on the top rope, and Wildman Mark Marrow is about to go for a Hurricane Rana here. Nails it. But it looks like he dinged his knee in the process. That was a 2 count there. I'm pretty
Crazy.
excited about this main event, Maddie. I got to say, we got The Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson going up against Farouk and Mankind. A pretty solid main event for 97.
Absolutely. And that's, we were talking Triple H, we're talking Mankind, what Farouk evolved into, it's just wild.
Well, this again for me is, kind of peak Farouk until he would break off with Bradshaw and make the APA. He wasn't really doing a whole lot. He was kind of lost in the shuffle for a couple of years here. Once he got excommunicated out of the nation after WrestleMania 14. But, for me, Farouk, that whole gimmick was really solid during, as we had mentioned before, with Savio and Crush. I felt like once we got Kama and D'Lo and The Rock in there, it kind of wasn't quite the same for Farouk in terms of him being the focal.
To me, it was just like, as a kid with Farouk, it was scary, one. And then I also thought he just hated white people. That's what came across as a kid.
Yeah, well, that was the gimmick, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah, which I don't think it could be farther from the truth. I don't think he feels that way in real life.
No.
I don't know the guy, but I don't think he does. So, oh, now we got oh wow, nice moonsault there by Mero, going for the pin on Helmsley. Are you on the same point as I am, man?
I am. We're locked in right now.
You have to excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. We keep on checking in on time codes here because, as we mentioned earlier, we're on kind of different feeds here. I'm on an international feed, whereas Maddie is on the Peacock feed. So we're trying to make sure we stay kind of aligned here for your listening pleasure. Oh, I didn't realize the turnbuckle pad had been removed there.
No, I didn't either. Triple H doing some heelish tactics here.
Most certainly. He's a cagey, wily individual. Oh, did he just hit him with some knucks?
He did.
And that'll be all she wrote, I think. It's funny, Maddie, I remember watching this event here in Canada on a channel called the New VR, which was the exclusive sponsor, or rather exclusive distributor of the WWF programming in Canada, based out of Barrie, Ontario, which is about 2 hours north of Toronto. And for our particular episode of Raw, we didn't have Vince McMahon and Jim Ross as the commentaries. We actually had Gorilla Monsoon and Michael Hayes, Doc Hendricks.
Wow. And Michael Hayes, I partied with a ton. He is actually from Pensacola. So,
oh yeah, what's
crazy?
Like
oh my God, belligerent, obnoxious, but still badass. Like,
is he
it's
still
a
living
wrestler.
in that area?
His mom lives in this area. I think he lives in Atlanta, but he comes here for vacations. Like, anytime he's not on the road.
Oh, cool. So you just bump into him at a bar and have a couple with him, eh?
I used to work at the Hilton, and he'd come stay at the Hilton, and he knew I was a wrestling mark, so we would chop it up at the bar or do whatever. He'd be like, hey, Matt, I'll give you $20 back. And I was like, well, fuck, $20, $20. All right.
Yeah. Well, there you go, man. Like,
yeah,
I've
dude.
heard some pretty wild stories about him, so.
He's crazy, dude. But he is, he's what, the head writer for SmackDown. He's one of Vince McMahon's like top 3. So
I know it. Him and Pritchard are pretty high up on the chain these days.
All right, I just got the Farouk fist bump, and now we're getting a looks like a Raw commercial for Thursday night.
All right. Well, I am at 118.18 right now.
All right, I am at 119.31. So I don't know if we're close or
I don't know
off,
how that keeps happening. 119.31, you said?
Yeah, where are you at? Have you experienced any commercials yet for Thursday Raw?
I am right now on 119.32.
Okay, we're good then.
All righty. Look at those Groucho Marx. Classic.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for this main event. We got Farouk on his way to the ring very shortly, I believe. Now we see him working over Ahmed Johnson on the outside, with Ahmed taking a ride to the steps. This raw emanating from Beaumont, Texas, of course, the night after the Rumble. Oh, we got Mankind in the ring now. Mankind's doing the Nation of Domination salute.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny.
He's ridiculous.
Mankind was oftentimes accidentally comedic during this era.
It just shows his personality, man. He was just so good.
Look at Ahmed Johnson. He looks like he's chiseled out of granite. He's coming down to ringside with that 2x4 in tow. I believe you referred to it as an 8-foot 2x4 earlier tonight.
Such a big dude.
What an intense individual. So, ladies and gentlemen, just want to quickly let you know that if you're interested in seeing the dark match main event of this particular card, which was not shown on this episode of Monday Night Raw, Tyler and myself, Tyler of the Counted Out 7 and myself, did a watch along of that one. It's available on the Counted Out 7 YouTube channel, and it is Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart versus Psycho Sid for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and it is available for you to watch at any time on the Counted Out 7 YouTube channel.
I'm going to have to check that one out. That's not fair. Like, why would you take that away from us?
Well, I think it's because it was the main event for the actual for the live crowd. It was the dark match main. They didn't
Hell of a main event.
Oh yeah, but you don't want to give away a match like that on TV back in '97, right?
No way.
I mean, unless you're Goldberg and Hogan in '98, you know, let's go ahead and give that away with 4 days build.
Terrible. Oh God.
That's
the way it was. So yeah.
Now we got the Undertaker making his way to the ring, and he is looking menacing as always. I love this look of the Undertaker when he has this jacket. I love this redefined Undertaker after having Paul Bear turned his back on him, and he went kind of veered away from the purple gloves and purple boots. Now he's
Absolutely.
kind of oh yeah, I love this. Is awesome, Undertaker.
It was a perfect like transition, like just kind of update the look a little bit, still give you that like creepy feel. Like you'll never beat an Undertaker entrance.
100%. Let's go ahead and pipe this in for a second. So here we go with this main event. And Maddie, I got to ask you, have you ever had a chance to see The Undertaker live in person?
I have, and it was badass.
Was it when it was Dead Man Taker, or was it when it was American Badass Taker?
This was Dead Man. Unfortunately, I missed the American Badass, but Dead Man Taker, yeah. I would have liked to see American Badass because I was a mark for that as well. But Dead Man Taker, man, like just that entrance alone, and just he's over, man. He's up there.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is that if you are a wrestling fan, if you have been lucky or fortunate enough to see The Undertaker live in person and see that Dead Man entrance with the gong and the lights coming up and the whole 9 yards, you are a lucky, rich wrestling fan indeed, because it's something that hasn't been too frequent in the last decade or so. I had my opportunity to see it several times, and tell me about it. What was the match? What was the circumstance? Where were you? I want to hear all about it.
This was kind of a little bit late. I believe it was 07, 08, but I saw a lot of times I'd see him twice. So I saw him and Edge once and him and Batista, and both. It's just that feeling of The Undertaker, like it was probably the highlight of the night because you haven't witnessed it, and then every time it happens, you're just brought back to being, you're just in the zone so much. There's not an entrance like it.
110%. I could not agree more with you. It is, I think, the coolest entrance I've ever seen. Oh, I don't even think. I know it's the coolest entrance I've ever experienced in my wrestling fandom. And of course, having to experience it live, or getting to experience it live rather, is just such a treat. So for anybody, as I said, who has had the opportunity to see it live, it really is, it's impossible to explain to someone who hasn't been in that situation. So I'm so glad that we can talk about that. And
oh yeah, I think it's one of, if you go to, like, if you're making a bucket list of wrestling experiences, like, you got to witness, obviously the Hogan Rock, that's on a different level, but if you didn't witness an Undertaker entrance or a match, you're just missing out.
110%. I mean, and that's, again, going back to you and I at this particular juncture in our wrestling fandom. We got to see all the greats. We got to see Undertaker. We got to see Hogan. We got to see Rock. We got to see Austin, Michaels, Triple H, Ric Flair, Owen Hart, Bulldog. The list goes on and on. Mick Foley. We've seen all these guys. I've seen them all in person live. I don't know how many of them you've seen live, but just to grow up in this time frame, I mean, again, we've touched on it earlier, but man, it's never going to get better than this.
No, sir. We were spoiled rotten. All right, I'm hitting another commercial here. I just saw Crush and Savio head to the ring. Now I'm getting looks like they're going Friday to the Civic Arena, Stabler Arena on Saturday. You getting that commercial yet?
No, and it sounds like they're bouncing you around because we should still be on the Undertaker and Ahmed Johnson match.
All right, we're hitting the live event tours here.
Well, I'm at 1 hour, 26 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay. So we are definitely getting bounced around, but we'll just roll with it. I think we're okay.
Might be part of the reason why we have had a little bit of trouble staying on the same time code. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us. We're doing this live. We are we are simulcasting from Pensacola, Florida, and Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Very, very different weather patterns going on right now between our two homes, and very different network feeds indeed. So just bear with us. We'll be right back to our regular scheduled programming. For those of you that want to keep up with us, we are at 1:26:33, and we're going to hit play as soon as Maddie's ready.
Let's do it.
Bam, there we go. We are back. Now, we are returning to this match with The Undertaker working over Mankind, and Farouk and Ahmed Johnson have paired up on the outside. Here comes Crush and Savio. Okay, now I know what you're talking about, Crush and Savio. My apologies.
No worries.
I thought you were referring to that Crush and Goldust match earlier.
Oh, no. Hopefully not.
See, now I've got the Stabler Arena stuff here.
What's the deal with Ahmed? Like, why didn't he get over? I mean, he's in the main event here. And then it just kind of falls off with the Farouk feud. And I know he couldn't stay healthy, but to me, this was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up.
I think that's pretty much it. He was one of my favorites in '96 too. I mean, who didn't love Ahmed as the Intercontinental Champion? But I think it was just, he was too injury prone and they couldn't get behind him. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And if the guy is going to be going down every couple of months, you can't push him. You can only push him so far, right?
Absolutely. So
whereabouts are you now, man?
I have Mankind's got a chair in the ring. Have you got to that point?
No, I'm at 127.53.
Okay. Let me know when you've got Mankind holding up a chair.
Mankind just took a Pearl River plunge.
Ooh. What a move.
Yeah.
I have a Comic Con coming up in February. I'm really hoping I get to do an interview with Mick Foley.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I've got press passes, so he's on the list. They kind of get you to make pretty much a list of the people you want to talk to.
That is awesome.
So I've got Mick Foley, I've got JBL, Ruby Riott, and Honky Tonk Man. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, even just one of them would be huge.
Absolutely.
I love that. Good for you, man. Congratulations. You have to let me know how it goes. I got Mankind picking up a chair now, so I'm right where you were.
Let's do it.
And he is walking towards Farouk. He's in the corner. I'm assuming he's going to be going after Taker here. Man, oh man, I love this version of Mankind. It's my favorite version of Mankind. Oh, right back in his face, it went, that chair.
He's crazy.
He sure is. Taker's got the chair now. And Ahmed Johnson's fighting off the Nation on the outside.
Right.
Oh, this is a really solid main event. I completely forgot how great this main event was. Oh, the Undertaker's going to go for a chokeslam. Let's lay out and let Vince and JR take us home on this match. What do you say?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And look at this. Nation of Domination members all over Ahmed Johnson on the outside. Savio hammering Ahmed. They're fighting outside. Ahmed Johnson's got that 2x4. And Nation of Domination is headed for the hills. And here comes Ahmed back. Uh-oh. And look at this. Double team effort, Mankind and Farouk, all over the Undertaker. What will they do to attempt to stop the Undertaker? Is this the night that the Undertaker goes down for the count? Ahmed coming in with a 2x4. Look out! Oh! Remember, no disqualifications. Anything goes here in the WWF tonight. And Ahmed, with all the justification in the world, used that 2x4. Look at Undertaker go to work. Farouk backing up from Ahmed Johnson. Go ahead. Yeah! Neckbreaker applied by Mankind. Action all over. The Toronto SkyDome. Over 25,000 fans have joined us tonight for Royal Rumble Raw. And what's it going to be like on Thursday, Raw Thursday, on the 13th, just 10 days from now? Mankind, what's he have? Mankind now. Oh, some powder or something. Some kind of substance. Wait a minute, here's Vader. Here's Vader. Vader, who has the history of the Undertaker. Vader coming down 458 pounds. This is the night the Undertaker goes down. Vader.
Wow. Vader comes out to help Mick Foley out, Mankind out.
Oh, boy.
Man, oh, man. Looks like we're about ready to see the demise of the Undertaker, but yet, wham!
Love it.
Oh, Vader just cleaned Mick Foley's clock, cleaned Mankind's clock. Now
how many chair shots you think Mankind's taken in his life?
Oh, probably thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. None more ruthless than that series of chair shots he received at the Rumble 99.
So bad. So bad.
All right, I think we're about ready to go home here. I'm going to go ahead and lay back out.
This is the end. Uh-oh. Tombstone. It's going to be a tombstone on the chair. You will hear that thud, that sickening crack of the head on that steel. Mankind is out, and this match is over. The Undertaker will be in the final four. Could the Undertaker wrestle for the WWF title at WrestleMania 13? And look at that look. A consternation in the face of Paul Bearer.
Wow. What a great Raw, eh?
Hell yeah, dude. This was awesome.
This was so much fun. We got to do this again. I had the best time right here on our particular podcast, the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast, talking with you, Maddie. You're such a great wealth of knowledge, and I had so much fun going back in time, hitting that time machine, getting into the DeLorean, and looking all things 1997 with the WWF.
Absolutely.
Maddie, you got to hit us up a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about your podcast. Tell us some more about your social media handles. We need to hear all the ifs, ands, and buts. Inquiring minds want to know.
Absolutely, guys. Wrestling, I love it. It's just like Jay. I eat, breathe, sleep this shit. If you want a podcast, like I said, Maddie Daddy Presents. I have the Wrestling Mat on there. We do reviews, kind of not as much as the booking, but maybe like into the podcast. You know, who is your performer of the night? Who would you fantasy book that guy nowadays? And a lot of sound drops. Say you like hearing these entrance musics, things like that. That's it with my podcast. A little different style. And then obviously I'm big into fantasy football. If you're fantasy football fans, Dynasty Redraft, hit me up at Matty Daddy FF. Like I said, just look me up on Google, Matty Daddy. I'm here for you, Jay. Oh, it has been a blast. Good friends, better enemies. Be on the Matty Daddy Presents anytime now, brother.
Oh, man, I am psyched to jump on and return the favor. I cannot thank you enough for joining us tonight, and I cannot wait to jump on your podcast as well. And we're definitely going to have to get together for WrestleMania season sometime in March. We're going to have to record something else because it's going to be time pretty soon to start talking about WrestleMania and all things past, present, and future. For us here, ladies and gentlemen, on the podcast, next week, as alluded to earlier, I am going to be joined by Tyler of the Counted Out 7 podcast, as we go ahead and cover, as I rebook the In Your House Final Four from Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1997. And we will be then joined back in studio by Tyrone, who's going to be back booking something very, very exciting for WrestleMania season as well. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to fly tonight for myself, for Matty Daddy, for Tyrone, for the World Wrestling Federation, for the SkyDome in Toronto, Canada, and for the Raw Magazine. What the heck? Why not? Ladies and gentlemen, the Good Friends, Better Enemies podcast. Thanks you very much.